Obviously, being on social media and having such a big social media presence, like from beginning, is going to have its pros and cons. Incredible for the business because it means revenue, it means profit, but with that comes so much negativity.
The fact that it's always there and it is kind of hard to switch off, and being, I guess, a brand like ourselves where we do kind of target both like an Australian and a US audience.
We've seen like brands get cancelled and trends happen where we just don't fit into it, and like it really takes a toll on not only the business but us, because obviously we're the ones behind it.
Hi guys, welcome to Back to the Beginning, a podcast by Beginning Boutique where we hit rewind on the lives of all your fave influencers, models, social media gurus and more. So pop on your headphones, turn up the volume because this is your exclusive access to the advice, life lessons and never before heard learnings from our guests. Hi guys, welcome back to the Beginning. Today I've got some exciting news for you. We're launching a brand new series of podcast episodes that tackle one of the most frequently asked questions we receive from all of you. Our DMs, comment sections, emails, and even LinkedIn messages are often flooded with the same query, which is how we got this job. So we've heard you loud and clear, and this new series is all about satisfying that curiosity. Today, I'm sitting down with two of my co-workers and my friends, and in future episodes, we'll be doing different departments, both within and outside of Beginning, to dig deep into how we've snagged our dream jobs. So to kick things off, I'm keeping it close to home, and I'm chatting with two incredible ladies I work with every single day, Bridget, our social media assistant, and Millie, our brand assistant. So guys, how are you feeling?
Good.
A little bit nervous, but good.
That's okay. I still feel nervous every single time I do this. So you're doing great already. Basically, what we're going to go through today is what our roles kind of entail in the marketing, social media, PR sphere. So, Bridge, I want to start off with you. Okay. How did you get into the role that you have today? And can you explain what that role is?
Yep. So my role as social media assistant is basically to assist yourself with all things social. So I kind of look after our Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube and Facebook to kind of make sure that our social strategy is consistent across all our different platforms. So that kind of means going on shoot to get content, helping yourself like with editing and producing content, as well as, I guess just, ensuring that social strategy is consistent across all our platforms.
You also do a lot of, or pretty much all of the reporting though, which I think is a common misconception in our role, is that there's no like analytics behind it. So Bridget does all of the Google Analytics reporting. She brings out like how many click-throughs we get, how much revenue we made on certain codes and things like that, which I guess maybe you're good at because your original degree was kind of based on more like numbers?
Yeah,
would you
a little
say?
bit, yeah. So I have a degree in exercise and nutrition science. So I guess, the sciencey part of things, like that was a lot of like reporting and all that kind of thing as well. So maybe that's why I do kind of have a little bit more of an understanding in that side of things. And so, that also is a large part of my role for sure. Like having to look back over all our insights and, reporting on all our revenue and to see how exactly everything's going.
And your role, I guess, really started when you were working at a different company. You were working at Rebel Sports when Sarah saw you. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, so I had just graduated from my degree and I basically told myself I was going to have a gap year. And so I was just working in retail at the time and was actually serving Sarah. And we kind of got chatting, and then she told me about this new role that she had just kind of, put online for Beginning. And so I applied and was given the role. So it was like they called it a social agent. So I was working within our customer care team, but it was like looking after the social side of customer care, I guess. And then through that, I was kind of doing a bit of like ad hoc tasks for marketing as well on the side. So then when the social media assistant role kind of popped up at the end of last year, I messaged Jade, our now manager, to kind of say that I was interested. And I guess the rest is history, as they say.
Bridget is being very humble. Sarah actually tells the story that Bridget was dealing with a very difficult customer, which Bridget is good at doing. And Sarah basically saw her and the way she handled things, and she said, I want her on the team. Bridge, how long did you work as that social agent position for?
I think it was like 9 or 10 months.
And then you came into the position that you are now.
Yeah. So transitioned over to marketing like the start of the year. I think it was, first week of January or something.
Was it during that role as a social agent that you kind of decided that you were interested in marketing, or is it been something that you were always interested in?
No, it's funny. It was literally that social agent role. Like marketing had never been on my radar. I like didn't even do business in school because like that kind of thing just didn't really interest me at the time. I was like very like sciencey, I guess. So I never even kind of pictured myself within this space. But it was through that position, I guess, and having to deal with that social media side of things and getting to have that experience as well that I was like, oh wow, I could kind of see myself in this realm.
And Millie, you're the only one out of the three of us that actually has a degree that is semi-relevant to your job. And she's also the newest addition to our team. So you started about a month ago now?
Two
months ago. Can you explain how you got into this role?
Yeah, well, what you're saying about my degree is half true. So I did visual communications at uni, which is more like graphic and advertising design. And then I majored in marketing. So through there, that's kind of what sparked my interest for all things business. And then I was in a role at college that had a lot to do with events. And so I knew that something in the PR world was kind of calling my name. And I actually reached out to intern for BB, which is how I started. I actually didn't know if BB had interns when I reached out, and my sister, who had previously done influencer work with Sarah, gave me her email. And then from there, Sarah forwarded me to Ivy, and then I was interning for Ivy as a social media intern. So I did that for 12 weeks back in August last year. Then took a little bit of a break, did another internship for another company, and then I was looking for a job for my first job, and I saw the brand assistant role on Seek, and I was like, wow, this literally ticks all of my boxes, which leads on to what my role is. It's kind of an establishing role at the moment because it's new, but I work like directly underneath Jade, who is brand manager, and so I'm like brand assistant, so that dabbles in all things social, PR, events, things like that. Pretty much just helping around. At least that's what it is for now. But yeah.
And I guess where do you see yourself going? Like what's your dream role progression?
It's a big question because right now I'm kind of figuring out what I like and don't like. I love events. I love all things events, organizing, seeing it come to life. I love the PR side of things. I love thinking of like new activations, everything like that. So something along the lines of that would be amazing. And then obviously I've got my design degree, so all things creative still interest me. So I love seeing what the creative team does, and I love working so closely with them as well.
And in terms of what my role is, people might already know or maybe not, but I'm PR and social coordinator, which means I do this podcast, I write the press releases, I also go on shoots and coordinate the creative social for shoots, and I run the TikTok account. And we basically just all work together in idea generation of PR stunts, community and revenue events. And it's amazing that Millie likes doing the nitty gritty of events because I have one idea and then I'm like, no idea how to make that happen. Surely someone can help figure that out. I'm not a logistics girl. I'm a one and done kind of girl. But I got this role. I have a journalism degree and half a law degree that I always say I'm going to go back and finish one day, but probably not happening, babes. So I worked as a rural journalist for 2.5 years out in rural Queensland in Boonah. And I used to do all of the development, political, that kind of side of things, sports journalism out in rural Queensland. And I decided that I wanted to move into the influencer social media sphere. I have always really been interested in like online and viral culture, but I never really wanted to take like the next step because I felt like people wouldn't consider me like smart. I felt like it was taking like a massive step down from being a development and political journalist. And it took me probably a year to build up the courage to change industries because I was so embarrassed, which is so dumb because like it doesn't matter. Nobody cares what you do, like as long as you're happy in your job. And so I took a job at a digital marketing agency. I started on Monday. I was made redundant on the Friday. By Wednesday, I knew something was up. They had nothing for me to do then. I was like, oh, this is feeling scary. And so I got made redundant and I immediately started applying for other jobs because I was panicking so much. And I felt like this was a sign that I shouldn't have moved from journalism. And I saw a bunch of different jobs on Seek, and I was like looking at the amount of applicants, and it was like 72 applicants, like 100 applicants. And they were all for digital marketing or social media manager roles. And I was like, how am I going to stand out when I've got 3 days of like experience compared to people who have years and years? And so I started making TikTok videos of PR moves I would make for said brands, which was massively inspired by another girl on TikTok called Girl Boss Town. And I originally did them so that I could attach them to resumes, but turns out I didn't even need to because the brand started messaging me back being like, we'd love to have a call. And I also had interned with BB back in 2017, I think. And I was Jade's intern back then. And Jade reached out to me and she was like, I've seen the videos. Do you want to come in for an interview? And that's how I got this role. And so before we talk more about our roles and like what we do for the company, I want to talk about how confusing the difference between marketing, PR, social media marketing, and advertising is, because I feel like I always say I work in PR and people are like, what is that? And I'm like, good question. What do you guys think the difference is?
I think like social media side of things is very obvious because then you can split it up into the platforms, you know, you're just posting on this, you're doing a strategy for this. But I think when it comes to PR, it is so broad because people think of a PR box, you know, someone putting something together and giving it to an influencer, which is still PR. And then you have PR events, like they all have different intentions behind them. They all have the same like morals, which is, you know, connecting with the public, keeping that relation and things like that. But I feel like there is a very blurred line between marketing, PR and all of those kind of things.
What about you, Bridge?
Yeah, so I guess like the social media side of things is very much like the brand awareness at a forefront. Like I feel like that's huge, like for that initial kind of brand awareness. And then I guess like PR is just further building those relationships, I guess, whether that be, like you said, through influencers, through events, like that side of things. It's all about that like relationship building at more of like a personal level, I guess, as opposed to being very just like, I guess the social media, like you don't really know the face behind the brand in a sense. So I guess that's how I kind of like distinguish the two. And then, yeah, like you said, there's also obviously like the advertising, which is all like the paid ads and like the paid side of things, which I guess is just like a way to push your brand further once you've kind of developed those relationships and that kind of brand face in a sense.
Yeah, massively. I think also depending on the business, it can be more segmented. I think because we work for a small business, you know, we're in the same city that it was founded, it's all very intersected. Potentially if you worked for a huge brand like a Nestle or like an overarching company, it would be like advertising is billboards, PR is writing the press releases, and then we have a separate team for the social media marketing. Because we are still quite a small team, it really just every single segment has different aspects of each in it. And I think that's what's really important to us is that obviously we're trying to sell a product and we're trying to create revenue through our socials, but we're also trying to create community. And that's like the biggest thing for us is like developing and curating this community that can be there with us for like the whole journey. What are your guys' biggest tip into how to get into the industry?
Well, I guess it's just being not afraid of where you start for me, because I guess in both of our cases, it's kind of like, you know, intern or a different team or whatnot, you know, it's getting that foot in the door initially. I think that's huge. So not being afraid of starting elsewhere and then kind of working your way from there if that's really what you're wanting to do. I think that's huge.
I feel like potentially like building your own personal brand first, because then like you're going in there with confidence. Like I know for me, which probably leads on to the next question, but I know that Jade like stalked my TikTok before hiring me, and, you know, she could see my like online confidence and online presence and things like that. And I feel as an employee, that's what you really look for, is that they're confident talking online, they've got strong morals. Like looking at someone's social platform, you can see what they stand for. You can see the brands they associate with. Like it's quite a good imagery of them as a whole, even though it is a bit of a show reel at the same time.
No, massively. I think building a personal brand is exactly the advice that I would give to anyone, it doesn't have to be that you're making PR videos. I think that if you can show that you are confident on the app and you know how to get views, then it's massively helpful when people and employers are looking at you for this specific type of role. Like you just said, Millie, you and I are like quite online in our own personal brands. Bridget, you have not posted on Instagram since April 30th. I've done my research. Is this something that you actively think about? Because obviously you are so on the pulse. We will see a user-generated content video or photo come through our tags, and Bridget immediately is like, I know that will perform on social. I know that won't perform on social. I know if I combine this into a photo dump, it will do well. And she's always right, which confuses me so much because you never post on your own personal, like you don't even have a personal TikTok account in terms of posting.
Yeah.
You're like a lurker.
Yeah.
Like you're always on
Big
it.
time.
Bridget will be like, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that.
She's a user 1567.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I guess it was just never a massive thing for me. I was very sporadic with posting and whatnot, just like when I, would get a cute pic or something like that, as opposed to like curating content. I don't know if it has anything to do with the fact that, it was just like never on my radar in terms of like a job or career in a sense at first. So I'm not great in terms of my own personal Instagram. But in saying that though, like I do obviously spend a lot of time on social media, and I do have a real appreciation for content and like content curation and like following really great content creators. So I do have like a love for all that side of things, which I think then helps with like the social media side of things and looking after that myself. But I probably should put a little bit more effort into my own personal brand.
Do you have that desire to replicate it, or are you happy just being like sort of like seeing it as a hobby that you enjoy watching but not partaking in?
Yeah, I guess I would say I do enjoy, watching from afar. I don't have like the strong desire to, I guess, replicate what I see in a sense. Like I definitely still save a lot of things for like inspiration and whatnot kind of thing, but it's more just like of a vibe as opposed to being like, okay, I need to recreate this shot or whatnot kind of thing.
Do you guys feel like since being in these roles, you're more critical of the things that you post online?
100%.
Yeah.
Jinx. I feel like that too. I think that going through other people's content all day, especially people who that's their full-time job and they probably take hours and hours to get one photo. I mean, being on shoot, we know that. We take
definitely.
4,000 photos to get one front image in natural light shoots. So I feel like it is that thing of when you take photos and it's just your boyfriend taking 3 being like, is this fine? You're like, no, I can't post that.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's such a big side of things, that because we have to be so critical in our roles that, I guess it does kind of like translate into your own kind of, Instagram and whatnot, to be just as critical on yourself.
I think it leaks through as well, even though I'm not posting to do well and to get lots of social engagement. I think that mindset is hard to get out of sometimes.
Yeah. Like you look for better lighting now because you've seen what you choose over something else. So you're like, oh, maybe I should probably do a little bit better.
100%. What is your favorite thing about being in your roles and about being in this industry in particular?
I mean, I've only been here for 2 months. Obviously, the team has a huge part of it. Like, we've got a huge like female-based team, which is just so empowering, and like we're doing so well. Like Sarah as a CEO is just such an incredible woman. Like the morals that she has, like she just puts kindness first, and she's just such a compassionate person. And I feel like having that at the head of your company is just, it trickles through. Like without a doubt, like we are all so inspired by her, and it just is a rippling effect. And I feel like we all aspire to be that kind of level. But I feel like the team for me, only been here for 2 months, but has a huge like contribution to like my enjoyment at work and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think also just being around such creative people all the time, like I just feel like forever inspired by everyone within our company, and I love that. And also I guess it's just no 2 days are the same as well, which I do love. Like, you're always on your toes and always being challenged. So that's also a huge part of it for me.
Yeah, definitely. And people might have seen in our TikToks, but we work in kind of an open plan office. Well, it is an open plan office, which is quite different to our old office where we were sort of segmented off in different rooms. And since working in that open plan office, I find it so exciting to hear what the product girls are doing and like what they're talking about. And also like customer care will say like, you know, a really nice story they'll be talking about. It's nice to feel more connected with the whole team and seeing what the whole team is doing, because I think as socials, we're almost at like the level of everyone does things and then it's our job to like amplify those things, especially with the behind the scenes content that we now do. And I think being in that room where you can pick up little bits that people are talking about is massively helpful. What do you guys find the most challenging about being in this industry?
Obviously, being on social media and having such a big social media presence, like from beginning, is going to have its pros and cons. Incredible for the business because it means revenue, it means profit, you know, like we're being able to display like all of our products in the way that we want. But with that comes so much negativity. And then, you know, we've seen brands get cancelled and trends happen where we just don't fit into it. And like it really takes a toll on not only the business, but us, because obviously we're the ones behind it. I've not had anything major happen since I've been here yet, but obviously there's been cases that Ivy can talk on where she's had to fully flip around and do apologies and things like that and adjust and pivot. And I feel like that is something that's pretty challenging, you know, to come back from mentally.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Bridge?
Yeah, I guess with the social side of things is just the fact that it's always there and it is kind of hard to switch off. And being, I guess, a brand like ourselves where we do kind of target both like an Australian and a US audience, like we're posting at such different times throughout the day. Like I just find that it's very hard to kind of switch off sometimes. Like it isn't a matter of you leave the office and that's kind of like your work day done in a sense. Yeah, so probably that side of things as well.
I also feel like for me, it's the pressure of always knowing what's going on in like the pop culture zeitgeist. Like you have to know absolutely every drama, whether it be like an influencer or a mainstream celebrity or about the Kardashians, because you have to be willing to jump on trends so quickly, because if you don't, then you've missed it and then that was a lost opportunity for the brand. And I think, like I was saying before, we're trying to provide an online experience. It's more than just selling clothes and making revenue. We're trying to cultivate that customer community. And I think that's like something that I really struggle with is I always feel like if someone said like, did you see this TikTok? And I haven't, I'm like, oh my gosh, like let me go on right now and like, let me deep dive into this random niche thing. Are there things that you guys regularly do to keep up with pop culture and the internet? Are there like books that you read, TV shows that you watch, podcasts?
I'm definitely starting to become more of a podcast girl. I feel like that's a really good way of like hearing trends and like hearing about things, especially like international. I'm loving listening to like content creators from different countries because I feel like a bit of more of like a worldly experience. And then I hate to admit it, but I find a lot of my facts just through TikTok alone.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I guess, just being active on socials and like, you know, across all the platforms. And yeah, because that is such a large part of the role to kind of keep up with those trends, like you just kind of need to be active in order to, you know, see what's going on.
Yeah, 100%. I listen to so many podcasts and I feel like if you are someone that's in marketing or you're trying to get into marketing, I have some tips. So I've written them down because it's a really long list. So I listen to about 35 hours of podcasts a week. Wow. Our drive to work is kind of long. It's like 45 minutes. So I do a lot of podcast listening while I'm driving. But the first is Internet Scroll. So it's two girls from Sydney who run a digital media company and they dissect internet news and viral culture in like a really nuanced and almost academic way. They take like a TikTok controversy and then talk about how it's because of like systemic feminism. And you're like, whoa, I never even would have realized that. But then when they explain, I'm like, that makes so much sense. And I love podcasts, especially by women, where it's them taking something that's seemingly fickle and then really drawing it back to the roots about how it actually is really important for society and culture and why social media really informs a lot more than people give it credit for. And then also I listen to Shameless, obvious one. I love the Shameless Girls, Bingetopia, Celebrity Memoir Book Club, Call Her Daddy, Girls in Marketing, Diary of a CEO, Fluently Forward. And I also often listen to TV episode wrap-ups. I don't know if you guys feel like this, but when you're on TikTok and somebody's turned the comments off, I immediately panic because I'm like, this is controversial, but why? Why do you guys think it's controversial? And I feel like this innate desire to know what other people in the community think about it. And when I can't, I feel really panicked. So when I'm watching things like Love Island or reality TV shows, I often literally scroll down to the bottom and then remember there is no comment section. So I love listening to episode wrap-ups of podcasts so that I can like gauge how other people feel. Do you guys also feel like that? Like you want to try and like test the waters?
100%. I, without a doubt, click on the comments section of every single TikTok.
Before it's even finished.
Yeah.
I just want to see what everyone's thinking. Does it align with what I'm thinking of? And
Yeah, I guess that's the big one. It's like, does everyone have the same opinion that I do here? But also I guess just to kind of see, what else people have got to say about it and whatnot. And then, I guess it kind of opens up that whole side of things as well. But no, definitely comment sections are huge.
I will even go hunting like onto the account to see if they've got one video and see if people have started like leaking the comments onto that post.
Literally. Do you remember when TikTok first happened and people used to turn their comments off a lot more? And people used to create like a new video with that sound. It would just be a black screen. They'd say comment section here. And they would like create like a new comment section. Oh, what a time to be alive. I wish people still did that.
Oh my God. I don't think I was on TikTok when
that was like 2020, early days.
It's like a playing field for trolls though.
Literally, which kind of leads me on to our next point because I feel like when one person comments something negative, it sort of sparks the idea in people's heads that they may not have had that opinion before. I'd love to know how you guys feel about online hate. Our Instagram always has very positive comments. It's very rare that we get hate there. However, our TikTok is a breeding ground for negativity. And we obviously know that's the price you pay for being in the arena. And as we've grown on TikTok and we've hit some pretty viral engagement numbers, that has come with a massive cost of negativity. We're not talking about negativity in the sense of constructive comments, people saying they don't like it, people offering valid criticism. We're talking about the you're ugly, this is ugly, fire your social media girl, those kind of redundant baseline comments. Why do you guys think there is such a dichotomy between the two platforms?
I think with TikTok, because it isn't curated, it's very just like organic kind of stuff. I feel like that almost in a sense for some reason just invites that level of like people thinking they have an opinion, I guess, which everyone is obviously entitled to their opinion. I guess it's maybe the delivery that can be really brutal. But I don't know if it's that organic sense where just because, you're just popping up a video willy-nilly, I guess. But I feel like it just overall has created like the app to be so like there is a lot of bullying, I guess, on like that side of things where I guess Instagram is a little bit more, I don't know, I almost want to say old school nowadays where, and it is a bit more like that curated content where it is a little bit more tricky because there's so much thought behind every single post and whatnot that, it kind of eliminates that, like what people can kind of say in a sense. So I don't know, whereas TikTok, it's a whole nother world.
I feel like logistically, the fact that you have a For You page that is popping up with like an algorithm that is completely random is just a free-for-all. You're posting and putting something out there. You don't know who is going to, whose For You page it's going to land on across the world with completely different political views, like just views full stop. Like it could end up in the hands of the wrong people and it does, sadly. Evidently. But yeah.
I also wonder whether that lurker vibe on TikTok has something to do with it. I feel like everybody has their own Instagram account and it's pretty rare that you get just like random Instagram accounts or people who don't post at all on their Instagram. However, I would say almost 50%, if not maybe 70% of the people I know have TikTok accounts like Bridget that are just literally like no name, have never commented on anything, just like,
Anonymous.
Exist in the background. Yeah. And I feel like that gives people this fake sense of security of no one will ever find out it's me. It's not even really me because it's not my name. It's user 50734, blank profile picture. Like I can just say whatever I want. And obviously we go through all of the comments. Do you guys feel affected by the hate?
I don't personally feel like, it definitely depends on the hate comment. I think when there's comments about body and fat shaming, I feel like that's when we all take offense as a company because it's just like so low and so disgusting and something that we just don't stand for. That when someone has gone out of their way to do that, especially when we're like all about body positivity in like all realms, you know, our content, our fits, our product, that's like something huge for us. It's just like you can't win.
Yeah, definitely. I think when it starts to get a bit more personal as opposed to, just like product related, that's when it's kind of like, okay, you've taken it a step too far here. And I think it is important for people to kind of remember that there are people like us where it is our jobs and we're sitting there reading the comments and it's, you know, we may have spent however long editing and producing and putting up that kind of content and then for it to just be like ripped apart. So yeah, maybe just like keeping that in mind.
Yeah, massively. I think that the people who are commenting things like that, it doesn't matter. Like, they're not going to care regardless of if we sit here and plead. Like, it's no secret in the office that, like, it massively, massively affects me and takes, like, a huge toll on my mental health personally. It can sometimes feel like you can never win. It doesn't matter what you post. People just want to comment something negative. And it definitely sometimes feels like you're kind of, like, trapped in this prison of people's opinions because when you try and please one side, another side of people like come out from the woodwork and have a different problem. So it can definitely feel like very anxiety inducing and like massively just takes a toll on how you work because you're there to do a job. And when people are there criticizing your job every single day, and again, we're talking about actual trolling comments, not legitimate criticism because we always welcome feedback on board. But yeah, when people are commenting via your social media girl, like we have to take that personally.
Please.
We are the social media girls.
No, literally.
I want to move on to something a little bit more light now that we've discussed our trolling era. I want to talk about some pop culture predictions that you guys have for the rest of the year. I want to know your 3 predictions that you think will happen in online and celebrity influencer culture before 2024.
Take it away, Millie.
Well, why don't we go one at a time so that we can think on it a little bit? I think podcasts are very much on the rise. Obviously, for years now, we've kind of all known that radio is going down and down. And I love that you kind of, I mean, although there's, you know, video content, it's giving people a platform to separate like their looks with their opinions and their academics and their intellect, which I think is an awesome thing because I feel like with TikTok and Instagram, we've always been very fixated on what people look like and we instantly make judgments as much as we hate to admit it. So I feel like with a podcast, I feel like it's so awesome, you know, to see that different side of things. So I feel like that's a trend that's definitely on the rise and I'm about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you need your laptop?
I could not think of any predictions. And I took it from way more like surface level. I was like, Hailey Bieber will be pregnant by the end of the year.
Oh, is that what we were going for?
Either's fine. Hailey Bieber pregnant by the end of the year, do you think?
I don't know. I just feel like what else?
Speaking of trolling and hate, she just came out and said that she like is afraid of being pregnant because she's scared of like what people will say because of how bad like her hate comments are.
Yeah, I do feel for the girl. Like
massively. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Imagine, I mean, it's like 20 times what we deal with. I personally, in the same vein, I think that Kylie's having a comeback. I think that she's
100%.
back on her shit. Like the babies have been born. She's done with that now. Like she has to raise them, obviously. But like she's dating Timothée Chalamet. She's wearing Converse. It's giving like 16-year-olds on like Musically Kylie vibe. And I honestly think that she's going to bring back the dip-dyed hair.
Oh.
And the Kylie Jenner lip kits.
Yeah, I
In
think
new shades.
I think that the dip-dyed hair is coming back.
Wow. Okay.
And if it doesn't, then scratch this from the record because that is a bold move
I was
to
going to
make.
say that's huge. I thought we were, well and truly left that one.
How do you
behind
guys
us.
feel about you? I mean, you speaking about podcasts being on the rise. Do you think that there is kind of a oversupply of them to an extent? It almost feels like everyone has a podcast now.
Yes, 100%. But then it brings the argument, like if you want to do something, just do it. But obviously you've got to find your niche to stand up from the crowd.
100%.
Or else it's just going to be, 3 girls.
Otherwise, it's just going to be this. How do you guys feel about Emma Chamberlain?
I love her.
But how do you feel about her at the moment in the sense of, I feel like all she's doing is the podcast and I don't really know. Do you listen to her podcast?
Every now and then. I'm not like a serial listener.
I find it really hard to listen to her podcast. That's just someone that I've never enjoyed listening, only because she speaks on such incredible topics of mental health. And I just feel like on my drive to work, you know, which is when I listen to my podcast as well, I'm looking for a G-up. I'm looking for a call her daddy inspired unemployed moment. Yeah. I'm not here for that, but she helps so many people. But I feel like that's what her brand's moving towards. Like that's what she is wanting to do. Like she said she finds it exhausting to do any other content. So
yeah, I think that if she doesn't pivot at least a little bit in the next year, she might find herself fading into irrelevancy a little bit. I think that in some capacity, she needs to do the behind the scenes. I think that the reason that she got so famous is because she gave like her all. And obviously that is not sustainable to do forever for the long term. But I think that maybe if she brought that in a little bit more into the podcast about her day-to-day life, because realistically that's why people loved her. It's because she vlogged her daily life and it was aspirational, but it was also at times relatable. And so I feel like she needs to bring an element of that back. And if she doesn't, I don't think that she can like stand on the pedestal she is for as long as she wants to.
I was just going to say that I think that because of her success, has kind of like risen to that kind of A-level celebrity status in a sense. And like that's why we're seeing her at the Met Gala. You know, she's been hosting the last 2 years and whatnot. So I feel like she's still like relevant in that sense. I definitely agree. That was honestly going to be one of my predictions, that like she's going to make somewhat of a comeback in a sense, because even her like sporadic posting on YouTube or that kind of thing and whatnot, I think you can almost see that she is even aware that she kind of needs to put out some form of like content to remain relevant. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see because yeah, like you said, that she does kind of just also really talk on how much she struggles with that side of things as well, which is, yeah.
I feel like that leads on to literally one of my biggest debates in life is about influencers. It's a bit of a controversial because I feel like with TikTok, it's giving everyone a platform to become an influencer, which is incredible. But then, you know, people are starting out as these relatable creators like Emma, and then they started getting gifted by like bigger brands and bigger brands and bigger brands till then they're A-level celebrities, which is what we're seeing with some of our like favorite Australian celebrities and just influencers all around the world, which then leads on to like the element that inspired us to be influenced by them in the first place. You know, the fact that they were relatable and that they were wearing things that we were wearing. And then within a year with their blow up, it's like now they're wearing things that are like 3 times our budget, you know?
Massively. And I also think that with a rising cost of living, these influencers that were once just dancing in their bedroom, even like an Addison Rae, who was just a normal girl from America and now is in movies. She's in like real, like going to the Met, like similar to Emma Chamberlain. She's wearing designer every single day. The thing that made them famous, they no longer have. So it's like, why would we continue to follow them and idolize them? Because they're not a Kardashian level of fame and they don't have that extreme wealth. And I think it's almost like it needs to be one or the other, or you have to do it very well. And I think, to be fair, Emma Chamberlain has been one of those people who has brought her community along for the ride. I also think Alex Earle, obviously early days, but she has done that quite well. Like her going from just being like a party girl in Miami to now being one of like the biggest social media stars. But have you seen her apartment? Like, have you seen her room, how it's just trashed all the time? She lives in absolute filth. But that is something that makes people, like, relate to her because it's like, yes, she has all of this. She gets sent on amazing brand trips, but her room is messy just like mine.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely.
I personally would love a book from Emma Chamberlain. That is not my prediction. I don't think she will do one, but I would eat that up. Like, I think that if she did some kind of, like, semi-memoir, obviously it's pretty out of touch to write a memoir at like 22, but I would read it. I would seriously read it. I think she's like the most interesting person ever. Like if an influencer was to release a book, who would you want it to be?
Like you said, I feel like she would definitely be up there, and only because I actually recently just saw that video that I think it was Girl Boss Town did, where she even said, you know, one day we're going to study how Emma Chamberlain went from this to this kind of thing. And so it's just the fact that she was able to make such like a huge pivot in her career and everything she was about, but we still kind of came along for the ride kind of thing, and like she still kind of like had that same loyal following, whereas like so often we do see that once they start to pivot like that, you know, we lose interest, I guess, like an Addison Rae, where it's like, I don't know, she's like definitely not as relevant anymore. I don't know if that's just me, but
no, I definitely would say that she's not as relevant anymore.
Yeah, whereas like Emma still does have that such loyal like fan base kind of thing, so it'd just be really interesting, I guess, to kind of get like a really good insight into how that all kind of came about.
Do you think that most American influencers get to a point in their influencing career where suddenly their goal is to be a celebrity, so they don't have to produce as much content? They can kind of just live in that upper echelon like what Addison Rae and like the D'Amelios and those kind of guys do?
I think it would have to be.
100%. And I think the brands over there like want that for them. You know, like even in the early days of Charlie, she was being like reached out to by like, I think it's like Dunkin' Donuts over there, and she was producing her own drink, and like they see the trends that are working and they like take it and they find these influencers and they ride it. Like they will take them to the top. And so I feel like as much as it's them personally, I feel like the brands like just like, you know, they love influencers. That's how they get their profit, you know.
And it's only been in like the last couple of years that we've really seen some bigger brands like a Dunkin' Donuts, like a Super Bowl, like adjacent brand actually realize the impact that influencers have, because for so long, brands only wanted to partner with mainstream celebrities and they wanted to spend all of their budget on getting a Kim Kardashian to do an Instagram post rather than, I guess, investing in these influencers from the get-go. And as they grow, they develop this loyalty and a partnership with the brand that can really see both of them soar. Do you think that Australian influencers don't have that goal as much because we're not in the closer vicinity to Hollywood? It's so much less likely that an influencer from Australia is going to end up an Emma Chamberlain.
100%. Like Australia doesn't have that Hollywood, as you were kind of saying. Even all those big A-list celebrities that are made from Australia will eventually move over to Hollywood kind of thing to continue that from there. So it's kind of like, you know, how do we go about that? I guess even the brands that we have here and whatnot, I don't know, I guess we don't have such like crazy level, I guess, like a Dunkin' Donut, or, you know, as much as we do see like our influencers partner with designer brands and whatnot, it's just like not as large of a scale as like American influencers, I guess. So even the brand trips that they can be sent on, and I don't know, it's just like it's a whole nother level over there. So I feel like as much as they can probably have those aspirations to one day end up like there, it's so much more of a harder slog for like an Aussie influencer as opposed to an American.
Definitely.
Yeah, I 100% agree with all of that. I also think with Australian influencers, like, I don't know if this is because we're very like business and like marketing based, but I feel like a lot of them, once they've realized that they've got quite a following, the next step is like, what business can I create from my brand, from my personal brand? What can I do? You know, whether that be clothing, makeup, a coffee brand, you know, there's all of these, everyone's got a platform. Like take Jackie Alexander. I mean, she's got now like 2 different things, like a clothing company and a coffee cup company. Like that's insane. And her platform has allowed her to do that. So I feel like with Australian influencers, whether or not that's just, you know, the ones I follow, but it's all like that next step in business world. And
that's a good point. I guess it's like maybe because they see that they can't be like that celebrity status, it's more that kind of girl boss CEO vibe as opposed to like, the American influencer side of things.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I love that. I really find it so interesting when influencers bring out a brand of their own, because I find it so exciting to see what they want to align themselves with, because I often feel like it's quite telling of who they are, like as a core, like as a person, what they're interested in, whether it's fashion or whether, I mean, I think that the coffee cups, like the puddle cups jacket, is so smart because it is almost like such a business move because there was such a big gap in the market for that. And I think those kind of things really set them apart from other influencers who maybe just replicate something that's been done before. I really enjoy when like we see young women influencers bring out something that's like quite innovative or quite like authentic to themselves. What are some online or fashion trends that you guys want to see disappear by 2024?
Skinny jeans.
Have they come back?
They really have.
I have not seen a single person wearing them.
I don't like Crocs.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I will be wearing them back. And my Crocs have had a vacation for winter, but they will be back in the office in summer.
I'd have to agree with Millie there. I'm not huge on Crocs.
That is so offensive. They're so cute. Like ugly, like so ugly, but like borderline cute, you know?
I can see where you're coming from with the so ugly that's their whole appeal. But yeah, I don't know. You won't catch me wearing
I feel
them.
like that kind of trends though. You know, like we all are
Definitely.
like kind of digging into our granny aesthetic, you know, like bringing back old trends like long denim midi skirts, like what
Yeah.
I'm wearing right now. Like that is such a granny
Yeah.
thing to wear. My granny wears it. My mum asked for this skirt, you know, but that's kind of trending at the moment, which I'm into because, you know, it's a little bit more conservative, a little bit more comfy.
Yeah. Big
Like
time.
we're able to wear this to the office, whether this just be our office, but we're able to wear this and feel comfortable instead of having to wear like tight corporate pants and things like that. So
Yeah, we're very lucky in that sense that we can really wear anything
Yeah.
like Crocs.
Yeah, exactly.
My
I love
Crocs.
wearing my Crocs. I really want to see people stop. Like, I want to see reality TV spoilers stopped. I am so sick of always knowing what's going to happen on reality TV. I feel like it takes away from the whole point that I'm watching reality TV. The Vanderpump Rules scandal could have been so good if they just stopped gasbagging and kept their mouth shut. Like, do these people not have contracts? I'm so confused. Like, that would have been like the mic drop of the century if they were able to keep that on wraps and reveal that during the show. But instead it just exploded on social media and it was still like, oh my God. But imagine the edit they could have done. Imagine the lead up it could have been. Millie's looking at us because she doesn't watch Vanderpump Rules and she's like,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
What? Did you not see it all over
What is
TikTok?
Vanderpump Rules? Oh my God.
oh my God.
Well, see, okay, so we have so Millie has no idea. I purely only know about it through TikTok and the fact that it was everywhere for like
Is it
a
like
good
a Love
month there.
Island?
No, yeah, it's a Bravo show.
It's like a Real Housewives of Beverly
Oh,
Hills.
you guys
vibe.
know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm putting in a meeting with Millie and I, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and we are going through every single scandal that's ever happened in reality TV ever. I'm going to give you a reality TV education and you'll love it. You will
Yeah,
love
I've
it.
never been a reality TV girl.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm like a Netflix show gal, like a Black Mirror moment.
I love a Black Mirror moment.
Yeah,
Same.
okay.
But if you like Black Mirror, you would like reality TV because Black Mirror like is so based on like almost like mocking reality TV.
100%. Taking like what's happening now and taking it into a dystopian future.
Yeah.
100%.
And also the new season of Love Island, they're bringing lots of like old people back like from
Yeah.
past seasons and they keep leaking it. Like before the
Yes.
episode happens, everyone's on Twitter like, this person's coming back into the villa. Keep your mouth shut. I'd like to see that for myself.
I
Okay,
wanna be
what
shocked.
do you think of that though? Like,
I mean, I've called it before. I think they should just stop bringing 2-3 people from past seasons. Bring
do an
them all back.
Yeah, do an all-star cast. Like,
Bring
why
them
are we just
all-
bringing like 1 or 2 people in with all like the newbies?
It's so boring. I'm like, bring them all back. Let them rehash their old,
Yeah,
because
the drama.
I think that it's so much better when people know each other because you got history. Like that's what makes
Old flames.
right.
Yeah.
I think they should do a reality TV show where they get a group of girls and a group of guys that actually do know each other. And they don't know that they're going on the same reality TV show, and then they end up in like a Love Island kind of villa and just watch it happen. Like just watch it play
copyright
out.
that. That's good.
Because I feel like every friendship group has like all of these like little dramas, little fight. You put a TV camera in there, that would go off.
Well, it's so funny. It's similar vibe, but not really like the reality, I guess, the Love Island side of things. But I watched the show Summer House, which is
Oh
also
my God, I watched
another-
Summer House too, another
So-
Bravo.
Yeah, another Bravo show. But I feel like it's almost like that. They're all
Yeah.
friendship groups and you just chuck them in a house and there's so much drama. And I love
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
So-
And the thing that that like Bravo does so well is they intersect all of their shows. So people from Vanderpump Rules are also on Summer House. They're also on Southern Charm. They're also on Winter House. Like they like mix all of the cast together. So you've got to watch every single show to actually be across what's going on at all times.
Yes.
And my poor boyfriend has to sit and watch every single episode too.
That's so good.
I feel like we've gone so off track, but I hope some of our predictions and our trends come true and the ones that we want to disappear leave us by the end of the year. Thank you guys so much for being on today. This has been the best Thursday afternoon at work ever. How did you guys find it?
That was so much fun.
I loved it. I feel a little bit more confident in front of the microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you be back next week? No, I'm joking.
I'm hosting, guys. The new host.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you guys for listening to today's episode of Back to the Beginning. Please let us know what other departments and positions you'd love to come on the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into our jobs and how we got to where we are. Don't forget to leave us a Spotify or Apple review wherever you're listening. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.